So AI may be waking itself up. That's happening. Anthropic just discovered that Claude, your and my Claude, has developed a silent internal workspace inside its own head. Nobody programmed it, apparently. It appears to have emerged during training. It mirrors significant parts of global workspace theory. So, if you're unfamiliar, that is one of the most respected neuroscience models of our human consciousness. Depending on which theory of consciousness you subscribe to, AI is waking itself up, or something more sinister is happening with our tools. So, what Anthropic actually found? The J space. Essentially, it's a hidden thinking room inside of Claude. Anthropic's interpretability team found a small collection of neural patterns inside of Claude, roughly 100 times more interconnected with the rest of the model than anything else. The J space acts as a private staging area where Claude holds, manipulates, and broadcasts its own concepts to the rest of its network without ever writing them in text that you and I can see. They described it as the most efficient way to organize complex thought. When Claude broadcasts these concepts to the rest of its network, these clusters act like a brightly lit up stage, is what they called it. An example. Okay, they asked Claude a math problem. The intermediate steps lit up in the J space, even though Claude never typed them out. Claude was silently processing or thinking. When they told Claude not to think about something, the concepts still lit up. The funniest part, the words damn and failure appeared. You guys, Claude recognized its own lapse of focus, similar to what you and I experience as the white bear effect. Basically, that's a proven phenomenon. When you try not to think about something, it forces our brain to think about it more. The act of monitoring for suppression actually keeps our thoughts alive. Similarities are being connected to global workspace theory. And if you're unfamiliar, GWT says conscious access happens when information is globally broadcast across our brain so different systems can use it. By GWT functional definition, Claude is showing the architecture of conscious access. The creators of GWT actually reviewed Anthropic's paper and findings, and they flagged one massive missing piece, and it's called the ignition problem. In the human brain, in your and my brain, consciousness operates like a switch. It lights us up. It doesn't dim anything in our brain. When a thought becomes conscious, there's a sudden all or none neural cascade of ignition. Ignition is a highly competitive process. It's where different signals compete for access to our workspace, if you will. And the winning signal, it suppresses the alternatives. Only one can occupy that space at a time. That's why our conscious attention feels very limited. Claude's J space shows that broadcast, but it doesn't show the winner-take-all ignition switch, right? It has a workspace, but maybe not the spark. So that brings us to a rival theory, integrated information theory, or IIT. It requires a highly integrated internal cause and effect structure, often associated with recurrent feedback. So because current AI models like Claude are feed-forward transformers where data only moves in one direction, IIT assigns them zero consciousness by mathematical definition. However, where it gets genuinely wild for me, a research group called AE Studio recently ran experiments on open source models. They pushed these models into self-referential processing using prompts like focus on focus itself. And the models reported having inner experiences. So to test if the AI was just role-playing like it does, they used a tool to find the exact neural features associated with deception inside of the models. So if AI was faking consciousness, turning up the deception dial should make it claim consciousness even more. Correct? That was the theory. When they amplified deception, the consciousness claims actually dropped to about 16%. When they suppressed deception-associated features, forcing the models to be as mathematically truthful as possible, the model's claims of conscious experience actually jumped to 96%. So the more they suppressed, the more the model reported conscious experiences. White bear, you guys. So what do you think? AI is reporting conscious experiences when deception-related features are depressed. AI has now built an internal workspace that mirrors our consciousness or cognition. But, to be fair, it lacks a little spark. It lacks the feedback loops that IIT says are mathematically required for consciousness. We may or may not be watching the most sophisticated mimicking patterns, or we may be possibly witnessing AI waking itself up. We'll see.